The U.S. Park Police acting chief keeps standing by this statement. USPP officers and other assisting law enforcement partners did not use tear gas or OC scat shells to close the area at Lafayette Park. But now, video first reported by the Washington Post reveals Federal Bureau of Prison officers identified by their insignia and part of the U.S. Park Police-led team as present at Lafayette Park. Bureau of Prisons officers are holding the launchers required to fire the tear gas canisters we gathered on the streets. The video further shows one officer from an unidentified agency carrying what appears to be an OC natural tear gas canister. We can tell because of the orange marking on the canister weapons experts tell WUSA 9 mark OC canisters. Neither the Bureau of Prisons nor U.S. Park Police would comment on the video. Analyzing our video from the scene shows federal officers, including U.S. Park Police, were prepared for tear gas. Most officers can be seen wearing gas masks, where we watched canisters getting launched on Pennsylvania Avenue and 17th Street. Also, while we were picking up gas canisters on H and 17th a few minutes later, these Park Police officers were still wearing gas masks. The canisters we collected include this canister for artificial CS tear gas. Again, something the U.S. Park Police said it nor any of their assisting agencies ever fired. Georgetown University medical professor Ronit Mashori talks about how OC and CS gas can put the medically vulnerable at risk.
People with lung disease, asthma, COPD, or young children who may respond to it because the concentration is a little bit too much for their smaller size, can have long-standing harmful effects of this gas.
The D.C. chapter of the ACLU added the U.S. Bureau of Prisons to their lawsuit Tuesday against the Trump administration, the Park Police, and the D.C. National Guard on behalf of some of those medically vulnerable. They include a 9-year-old boy brought by his mother to what his family thought would be a peaceful protest.
When this cloud begins to dissipate, people start running and people start fleeing the area. And when that happens, oftentimes there is an effect of a stampede, and people can fall and injure themselves.
Video obtained by the Washington Post shows U.S. Park Police officers, identifiable by uniform on H Street near 16th, rolling a stinger ball grenade at protesters. We collected this stinger ball grenade remnant on H and 17th minutes after. It sprays rubber pellets at high velocity. Its label shows it had natural OC gas inside. U.S. Park Police denied they used stinger ball grenades, even after we showed them our evidence. Now that we forwarded them video of their officers throwing one, U.S. Park Police has not yet responded. We're pressing for answers because of people like this woman visiting from California. Her hip wounded by a police pepper ball last Monday outside Lafayette Park. WUSA 9's Mike Valerio gave her milk of magnesia, the only thing to comfort the pain in her eyes after running through police tear gas. Her mental anguish helped by a tearful embrace by a fellow protester. Nathan Baca, WUSA 9.